Chapter 12. With a hoarse cry, Jeremy leaped down the steps. He shoved Sandy roughly aside. Then he dropped to his knees next to Tanya. Eva raced down the steps, trying not to panic. Tanya fainted again. That's all, she told herself. Sandy is just putting on another big act to show how much he cares. Nothing is wrong. Tanya will be fine. No, Jeremy suddenly screamed. Tanya! Tanya! Eva's heart dropped. It can't be true, she thought. Tanya fainted. She can't be. She is dead, Jeremy cried. Tanya, no! He grabbed his stepsister by the shoulders and raised her part way up. Tanya! Eva jumped off the last step, almost colliding with Keith. This can't be real, Keith cried. He turned to Sandy. What happened? He demanded. Sandy frantically shook his head. Nothing happened. She was fine. He grabbed Eva, panic in his eyes. I didn't do it, he shouted at her. I didn't. As Eva struggled to get away from Sandy, she caught a glimpse of Tanya's face. Her skin was pasty white, her mouth hung open, and her head flopped limply back. She's not breathing, Eva thought in horror. It's true. She's dead. But how could it happen? It wasn't the low blood sugar. All that does is make her faint. It couldn't kill her. How did she die? A hard, painful lump rose in Eva's throat. Tears spilled from her eyes and rolled down her face. She began to sob. Come on, Tanya. Jeremy grabbed Tanya's shoulders and frantically began to shake her. Wake up. You can do it. Come on, Tanya. Tanya's head rolled on her shoulders. Her mouth opened wider as if she were screaming, but no sound escaped. Tanya, come on, Jeremy wailed. He shook her harder. Come on, wake up. Jeremy, stop. Still sobbing, Eva broke away from Sandy and grabbed Jeremy by the shoulders. Please, stop it. With a cry, Jeremy shrugged Eva off. Eva stumbled backward and bumped into Keith again. Call an ambulance, she shouted hoarsely. And the police. Keith didn't move. He stared at Tanya's lifeless body with a dazed expression on his face. Please, Keith, Eva cried. She gave him a little shove. We need help. Keith dragged his gaze away from Tanya and blinked at Eva. Go on, she shouted. Call the police and an ambulance. Right. Keith spun around and raced from the bleachers toward the payphone at the back of the school. I don't get it, Sandy muttered to Eva in a panicked voice. Everything was okay, really. I just don't get what happened. Eva stared at him. He had pretended to strangle Tanya for the video, she recalled. Did he get carried away? Did he actually kill her? Why don't you go with Keith? Eva told him coldly. But I want to stay with Tanya. What for? She demanded. What good can you do now? Sandy stared at her for a second. Then he turned and ran off. Eva swiped the tears from her face and took hold of Jeremy's shoulders. She couldn't bear to look at Tanya's face again. Jeremy, she said softly, please stop shaking her. Keith went to call an ambulance. They'll take care of her. Please? Jeremy didn't reply, but he finally let go of Tanya and set her down gently. The tears ran across Eva's lips and dripped off her chin. She took a shuddering breath and tried to urge Jeremy to his feet. Come on, let's sit down and... No! Throwing her hands off, Jeremy leaped to his feet. His eyes were wild. I can't sit here and wait. I have to do something. Eva reached for him, but Jeremy brushed past her and sprinted down the steps. Jeremy? Eva chased after him, worried. He's hysterical, she realized. He's totally out of his mind. Who knows what he might do? Jeremy! She called again. She leaped from the steps onto the grass and began running across the football field. The rain came harder now, soaking her hair in her sweater and mixing with the tears on her face. Out of the corner of her eye, she spotted Keith's little sister heading for the bleachers.
Where's Keith?
Mandy demanded.
What's going on?
Get back in the van and wait, Eva shouted sharply. Don't move an inch until Keith comes to get you. Mandy's eyes grew wide in surprise at Eva's tone of voice. She turned and quickly sprinted away. Eva kept running, trying to catch up to Jeremy, but his long legs had already carried him across the football field. Eva saw him dart behind the bleachers on the other side and disappear from sight. Panting, she splashed across the soggy grass and up a little incline. She suddenly heard the wail of sirens. Eva stopped. The ambulance and the police, she thought. I have to go back. I have to be there when they take Tanya away. Wiping her eyes again, Eva turned and started back across the football field. As she did, she spotted Keith and Sandy hurrying toward the bleachers from the parking lot at the back of the school. She glanced over her shoulder. Jeremy trudged slowly toward her from behind the far bleachers. He must have heard the sirens too, Eva realized. Jeremy kept his head down and his hands jammed in his jeans pockets. Rain dripped from his hair and soaked his sweatshirt, but he didn't seem to notice. Eva stopped and waited for him. Together, they crossed the field and began climbing the steps. As they reached the aisle where Tanya had fallen, Eva stared in shock. Empty. Her body, Eva stammered. It's gone. Chapter 13. Huh? That's impossible, Jeremy choked out. Where is she? Keith shook his head but didn't speak. Sandy didn't speak either. He gaped at the spot where Tanya had been lying, a shocked expression on his face. Feeling dizzy, Eva closed her eyes. This is impossible, she thought. Somebody must have moved Tanya, but who? Where is Tanya's body? Jeremy repeated. I don't know, Keith stuttered. She was lying there when I left. I just got back. How should I know what happened? Hearing footsteps behind her, Eva opened her eyes and turned around. 2 police officers strode toward them, tense expressions on their faces. We got a call about an accidental death, the policewoman said grimly. The ambulance is on its way. She peered around. You want to show us the body? Eva swallowed. We can't, she murmured, her voice shaking. She's not here. The second officer frowned. Maybe you better explain that, he told her. We can't, Eva repeated. The policeman's frown deepened. Is this some kind of prank? No, Eva exclaimed. How can you say that? Tanya is dead, she pointed. We set her down, right there. Then Keith went to call you, and Sandy went with him. Jeremy ran off, and I... Whoa, slow down, the woman officer said. Turning to her partner, she told him to call off the ambulance, then go have a look around. The officer began climbing down from the bleachers, using a cellular phone to make the call. Sandy and Jeremy followed him. Down on the field, the 3 of them went in different directions, searching for Tanya's body. The first officer turned back to Eva and Keith. Tell me what happened, she ordered, but start at the beginning. Keith cleared his throat and began to talk about the video. Eva barely listened. Tears kept flooding her eyes as she remembered how pale Tanya looked, how her blonde hair flew back and forth when Jeremy shook her. She's dead, Eva told herself, and now her body's gone. We left her lying here alone, and now she's disappeared. Eva took a deep breath and wiped her face. As she did, she glanced up. Leslie stood at the top of the bleachers, gazing down. The wind swept her long hair back from her face, and Eva could clearly see her expression. Leslie was smiling. A chill ran up Eva's spine, the chill she always felt when she sensed that something was wrong. Does Leslie know something? She wondered. Look, Eva cried, interrupting Keith's story. She pointed up at Leslie. If you want to know what happened to Tanya, try asking her. As the policewoman glanced up, Leslie began to edge down the row of seats. Hey, the officer called. Leslie spun and ran toward the end of the bleachers, her shoes slapping loudly on the concrete. Stop her, the officer shouted. Chapter 14. The officer ran off, leaping to the ground and sprinting around behind the bleachers. Eva could hear her calling to her partner as she ran. What's Leslie doing up there? Keith asked. Do you think she... I don't know what I think. Eva felt herself shaking so hard her teeth chattered. She stumbled toward the bleachers and sat down. Leslie had a look on her face, such a weird smile. The police officers returned. Leslie walked between them, looking very frightened. Jeremy came up behind them, a confused expression on his face. We need you to tell us what you saw, the policewoman said to Leslie. I didn't see anything, Leslie declared. Then why did you run? The policeman asked. Because I was scared, Leslie explained. I'm just standing up there, right? Then all of a sudden, Eva is pointing at me, and 2 cops start chasing me, like I'm some kind of criminal. What were you doing up there? Eva asked. I wanted to see how the video was going, okay? Leslie's face flushed. I couldn't help it. I know I'm not in it, but I couldn't stay away. She shrugged. When I got here, all I saw was a bunch of people running around in a panic. Do you know what happened to Tanya's body? The policewoman asked. I told you, Leslie broke off, her eyes wide in surprise. What? She gasped. Tanya's body? What are you talking about? Tanya is dead, Eva told her. Her voice breaking, she described what had occurred. Are you sure you didn't see what happened to her, Leslie? Stunned, Leslie shook her head. I told you, I saw everybody running around. I never saw Tanya. Is Leslie telling the truth? Eva wondered. She seems totally shocked about Tanya, but after all, she does want to be an actress. As the police began asking more questions, Eva started to shiver. The rain had picked up, and so had the wind. But it's not the weather, Eva thought. Something's wrong. I can feel it. She glanced around the group. Leslie still seemed shocked. So did Keith. Jeremy stared at the ground, a dazed expression on his face. Everybody's having the right reaction, Eva thought. But someone is faking. Someone here is lying. Eva shivered again. Her weird feelings usually just told her when something wasn't right. This time, it told her that someone was lying. But who, she wondered, glancing around again. Who is it? And what are they lying about? Footsteps pounded loudly on the concrete. Sandy suddenly appeared. Rain plastered his light brown hair to his head, and he gasped for breath. Where have you been? Jeremy demanded. Looking? Sandy bent over and gulped in some air. Looking for Tanya? He took some more deep breaths, then straightened up and slicked the rain out of his hair. I thought she'd be waiting in my car, but... Jeremy's head snapped up. What did you say? How could she be waiting in your car? Keith asked. She's dead, remember? Sandy glanced away, looking uncomfortable. Jeremy stepped toward him. You know something, Sandy. What is it? What are you hiding? If you know something, you'd better tell us, the policewoman warned. I don't need to tell you this is serious. You could get in a lot of trouble if you don't tell us everything. Okay, I'll tell you. Sandy wiped rainwater from his hair again. Look, this wasn't supposed to happen, okay? What wasn't? Jeremy demanded. What are you talking about? It started out as a joke. Tanya and I cooked it up, Sandy explained. The idea was I'd strangle her for the movie. She'd pretend to be dead, and I'd go along with it. We just wanted to shake everyone up, for fun. Huh? Eva let out a shocked cry. You and Tanya decided to play games with my movie? Keith cried. Yeah, for fun, Sandy repeated. Eva gaped at him. That's a terrible joke, she declared. How could you and Tanya do something so awful? Never mind that. Where is she? Jeremy asked. Where is Tanya? That's the problem, Sandy told him. See, after everybody got all crazy, Tanya was supposed to jump up and yell surprise. But she didn't, Eva reminded him. And besides, Jeremy ran down and grabbed her. He would have known if she was faking. Jeremy shook his head. I was too freaked to really check her, he said. She was so still. Right, and that was part of the plan, Sandy explained. I figured she was really into the joke, you know? I mean, she wasn't going to jump up until everybody started running around like crazy anyway. Jeremy glared at him. So when did you decide this wasn't such a great joke? When Tanya disappeared. That wasn't part of the plan. Sandy gazed around as if he were looking for Tanya to suddenly reappear. But she really is gone. I don't know where she is. Eva stared at Sandy. Is he lying? I can't tell. He looks confused and worried, but so does everybody else. Someone is faking, but who? And what happened to Tanya? Did she really die? Go back a couple of steps, the policewoman told Sandy. This strangling scene for the video. You and Tanya both decided to pretend you'd really killed her. Sandy nodded. She'd act dead. Then I check her and start screaming. We just wanted to freak everyone out, but... Okay, so you checked her, the officer said. Was she breathing then? Yes, Sandy paused, frowning. Well, what? Jeremy demanded. Was she breathing or not? I think she was, Sandy replied shakily. How could you not know? Jeremy wailed. Because I was only pretending and I didn't check very carefully, Sandy closed his eyes. I thought she was breathing, but now I'm not sure. You did it, Jeremy accused. Sandy's eyes snapped open. You did it, Jeremy repeated. You strangled her. You killed my sister. Stunned, Sandy backed away. Jeremy leaped at him, pounding him with his fists. You killed Tanya, he screamed in a fury. You strangled her. Then your other girlfriend came and got rid of the body, right? My other? Sandy started to say, but the words choked in his throat as Jeremy's hands clamped tightly around his neck and began to strangle him. Chapter 15. Whoa, back off, now, the policewoman shouted. She and her partner grabbed Jeremy and pulled him off Sandy. Ease up. Let me go, Jeremy cried. He killed her. He killed Tanya. Jeremy, stop, Eva begged. Please. Keith and Leslie shouted at him too, but Jeremy ignored everyone. He's so furious he wants to kill Sandy, Eva thought in horror, but it won't help Tanya. It won't help anything. Finally, the police wrestled Jeremy over to one of the bleacher seats. Sandy staggered backward, holding his throat and gasping. Sandy, Leslie cried, are you all right? She ran to him and put her arms around him, holding him close. Can you breathe okay? Can you talk? Sandy cleared his throat. I'm okay, he rasped. Eva glanced at Jeremy. He had stopped resisting the police, but he stood tensely, breathing hard, clenching and unclenching his hands. Jeremy, we understand you're upset, the officer told him, but you have to get a hold of yourself and listen. He put his hand on Jeremy's shoulder and pushed firmly. Jeremy sat down, still looking tense. We think your sister walked away, the officer declared. We don't think she's dead. What? Jeremy shook his head. I don't believe it. You didn't see her lying there. Besides, didn't you hear what Sandy said? He isn't sure she was breathing. We heard it all, the policewoman assured him. Now listen, bodies don't just disappear. This whole thing started out as a joke, remember? Jeremy nodded. And that's probably what this disappearance is, the policewoman went on. Some kind of joke. But what if it's not? Keith asked. If it's not, we'll get to the bottom of it, the policewoman assured him. But we think it is. Can she be right? Eva wondered. The policewoman patted Jeremy's back. When a prank gets out of hand like this, people get upset, she told him. The important thing is for everyone to stay calm. Eva raised her eyes to look at Sandy. He stood with Leslie. She had her arm through his and was murmuring softly to him, but Sandy didn't seem to notice. He kept rubbing his throat, a stunned expression in his eyes. Eva walked over to Jeremy. He sat with his shoulders slumped, staring at his feet. Poor Jeremy, Eva thought. He was so happy a couple of days ago, talking about how he finally got a family, and now he may have lost Tanya. Eva took Jeremy's hand and gave it a squeeze. All right, I think we're finished here, the policewoman announced. She patted Jeremy on the back again. Why don't we give you a ride home, she suggested. Your sister is probably there right now, enjoying a good laugh. Can that be true? Eva wondered again as she and Jeremy stood up. Is Tanya really okay? 15 minutes later, the police car dropped Eva off at her house. Eva thanked the driver, then raced up the walk and hurried inside. No one home. Eva dropped her book bag on the floor and pulled off her muddy sneakers. Then she crossed the hall and ran upstairs to her bedroom. The police had dropped her off before taking Jeremy home. She was desperate to call the Darmans' house and see if Tanya really was there. Wouldn't it be great if Tanya were at home laughing it up, she thought, as she snatched up the bedside phone. Of course, I'll be totally furious with her, but I'll be so happy. Eva quickly punched in the numbers and waited. A steady beep, beep, beep sounded in her ear. Busy. Eva cut the connection, then dialed again. Still busy. What does that mean, she wondered. Is Tanya trying to call me to let me know she's okay? Hoping the phone would ring if she left it alone, Eva changed into dry jeans and a thick cotton sweater. The phone stayed silent. She brushed out her thick dark hair, then twisted it into a single braid that hung down her back. Still no call from Tanya. Frustrated and impatient, she grabbed the phone and dialed again. Still busy. What's going on? What went on? Did Tanya play a joke, or did she really disappear? Did she really die? As Eva paced her bedroom, she pictured Tanya lying so still in front of the camera. The camera, Eva gasped. Maybe the camcorder had stayed on the whole time. Keith left it on the tripod when we all ran off. Did he leave it running? If he did, the whole thing would be on the video. We might be able to see what happened to Tanya's body. Eva grabbed the phone again and called Keith's house. He picked up on the first ring. Jeremy? He asked eagerly. No, it's Eva, she told him. I haven't heard from Jeremy either, or Tanya. But listen, I had an idea. You know when you went to call the police and I went running after Jeremy? Did you leave the camcorder on? Hey, I had the exact same idea, Keith cried. I was just about to check the tape. Why don't you come over? I'll wait and we can watch it together. Eva hung up and raced downstairs. Please let the video show something, she thought as she drove to Keith's. Let it show Tanya hopping to her feet and making a funny face at the camera, or someone coming and taking Tanya's body away. Anything, as long as we can find out what happened to her. She pulled into Keith's driveway and saw him standing in the open front door waiting for her. She slammed the car door and hurried up to the house. Let's take a look, Keith said. He turned and led her down the hall into a small room filled with video equipment and metal shelves stacked with tapes. An overstuffed couch covered with throw pillows stood in the middle of the room. Across from it was a huge television monitor. Eva sat down while Keith fed the tape into the VCR. He punched the play button, then joined her on the couch. Here goes, he murmured. Eva leaned forward tensely, eyes glued to the monitor. What will it show, she wondered. What happened to Tanya? Chapter 16. White dots danced on a black background as snow filled the television screen. A loud crackling sound came from the speakers. What's wrong? Eva asked. Nothing. It'll clear in a second, Keith assured her. I think. They sat, watching the snowy screen and listening to the crackling sound. Come on, Keith urged. Come on. The static remained. Fast forward it, Eva told him. Yeah, right. Keith punched the control, but the screen didn't clear. He ejected the tape and checked it out. Great, he muttered, rolling his eyes. Just great. What is it? The camcorder. It was jammed again, and I didn't know it. Keith raked his hair in frustration. We got nothing. Eva sighed in disappointment. I thought for sure it would tell us what happened. Me too. Keith flopped down on the couch beside her. What do you think, Eva? Where's Tanya? Eva shook her head. I just don't know. I hope the police were right about it being a joke, but I have such a bad feeling about this whole thing. Anyway, if it was a joke, why hasn't she called me? I'll try her house, Keith said. He fumbled under a couch pillow and pulled out a cordless phone. Eva could hear the busy signal the second he punched the last number. Maybe it's Tanya trying to call here. I wish. Blushing, Keith punched the phone off and stood up. I wish she was calling somebody, not just me. Eva smiled. It's okay, Keith. I know you've got a crush on her. Everyone knows, he said. That's my problem. What do you mean? Well, Tanya is missing, maybe dead, Keith said. I was crazy about her, and I feel awful about what happened. He shoved his hands in his pockets. But I still have a video to do. Oh, Eva nodded. The show must go on, huh? You have to get someone else to play Tanya's part. I can't help it, he told her. I feel terrible, but I have to finish the video. If I don't, I won't have anything to send into the film schools. It's really important. So was Tanya, Eva declared. I know that, Keith exclaimed. That's why I'm so upset. Before Eva could reply, the door to the room opened and Jeremy burst in. Jeremy? Eva jumped up, her heart pounding. Where's Tanya? Is she okay? Was she at home like the cops thought? Keith asked. Jeremy shook his head. She wasn't there. Her room looks the same as it did this morning. Tanya hasn't been home at all. Eva's knees shook. She sat down quickly. Tanya is dead, she thought. She didn't go home. It wasn't a joke. She's dead. I've been on the phone since I got back. I called everybody I could think of, all the numbers in her phone book. Jeremy paced the room, his brown eyes frantic. Nobody has seen her. Nobody knows where she is. What about the cops? Keith asked. What did they say when they saw she wasn't at home? The cops? Ha! Jeremy slammed a fist into his palm. They still think the whole thing's a big joke. They can't, Eva cried. Yeah, well, they do, Jeremy insisted. Or, if it's not a joke, they think she ran away or something. Ran away from home? Eva shook her head. Tanya wouldn't do that. That's what I told them, Jeremy agreed. All they say is, sit tight, Jeremy. She'll show up. Like I can really sit around twiddling my thumbs while my sister's missing. Still pacing, Jeremy bumped into one of the metal shelves. The shelf wobbled. A pile of tape slid off and clattered to the floor. Hey, careful, Keith warned him, crossing the room to pick up the tapes. Why don't you sit down and try to cool off? You sound like the police, Jeremy snapped, but he helped Keith gather the tapes and stack them back on the shelf. Eva stayed on the couch, staring at the floor. She couldn't stop shivering, even though the little room was warm and stuffy. Something is so wrong, I can feel it. She wished she could ignore it, but she'd had these feelings too many times before. She hated them, but she trusted them. Somebody was lying earlier today, she thought. That's all I know. Come on, sit down, Keith urged Jeremy after they finished with the tapes. Crashing around the room won't help anything. Let's talk. Maybe we can make some sense out of this whole thing. Jeremy shook his head. I don't need to talk. I already know what happened. Sandy is a murderer. Eva stared at him. How could he possibly think that? What are you talking about? Keith asked, shocked. He's not a murderer. Sure, he can be a pain in the neck, but he's not a killer. I've known him my whole life. You're wrong, Jeremy insisted fiercely. I know Sandy really killed Tanya. You want to know how, right? Okay, I'll tell you. I'll tell you something I didn't tell the police. What? Eva cried. What didn't you tell the police? Chapter 17. Jeremy stood in the middle of the room, his brown eyes narrowed in anger. I overheard Sandy and Charisse planning to kill Tanya, he said. That's how I know that Sandy killed her. I heard him plotting to do it. Eva gasped. Keith shook his head. Are you nuts? He asked, his voice rising. Are you totally nuts? Maybe that's it, Eva thought. Not that Jeremy is nuts, but he's too freaked out about Tanya to think straight. Why else would he say something like that? You can think I'm crazy, Jeremy said. I don't care. I know what I heard. It was before the shoot today. I was at my locker and I heard these two people. They were around the corner from my locker, whispering together. I caught Tanya's name, so I sneaked up and listened. He slammed his fist against the wall. And I heard everything. Keith still looked skeptical. Why didn't you tell the police? I don't know, Jeremy cried. I was out of my head. I couldn't think clearly about anything. But is he really thinking clearly now? Eva wondered. Keith moved to the couch and picked up the phone. Then we should call the police now and tell them what you heard. No, Eva pulled the phone from Keith's hand. You could get Charisse and Sandy into major trouble. Good, Jeremy declared grimly. They deserve it. Not if it's not true, Eva argued. Look, they were whispering. I'm not saying you made it up, but maybe you didn't hear right. No way, Jeremy insisted bitterly. Let me talk to Charisse first, Eva said. I'll call her now and go over and see her. I'm sure it's a misunderstanding. We shouldn't accuse her if it isn't true. Jeremy nodded reluctantly. Eva punched in the number. It can't be true, she told herself. It has to be a horrible mistake. Her heart pounded as the phone began to ring in Charisse's house. Late the next morning, Eva gulped down some orange juice and checked the clock. Almost 11:30. With no school because of teacher conferences, she'd overslept. She'd better hurry if she wanted to catch Charisse at home. There had been no answer at Charisse's last night. Eva had tried again after leaving Keith's, but she finally gave up and decided to go over there this morning. As she drove down Park Drive toward Charisse's house, her hands started to sweat and her heart thudded anxiously. The rain clouds had disappeared and the fall leaves were gorgeous in the sunlight. But Eva still couldn't shake the strange feeling she'd had since before Tanya disappeared. It made the beautiful day seem dark and gloomy. And now she had to go and tell Charisse that Jeremy thought she was a murderer. How can I say it, she wondered as she turned onto Charisse's street. By the way, Charisse, Jeremy heard you and Sandy planning to kill Tanya. Is it true? Eva sighed. Maybe that's the only way, she thought. Just come right out and tell her. Eva slowed the car, peering out the passenger window. Charisse lived in a yellow two-story house, she remembered, with a wide front porch and an old-fashioned swing that hung on chains from the porch roof. There it was. Eva pulled to the curb and started to shut the engine off. As she did, she glanced up at the house again. Her hand froze on the key. Charisse sat on the porch swing, her red hair glowing in the sun. Sandy sat beside her, close beside her, his arm around her shoulders. As Eva watched, Charisse leaned even closer to Sandy and kissed him. Then they both stood up. Eva carefully eased the car into reverse and backed down the street. It doesn't mean anything, she told herself. I already knew Sandy was fooling around with Charisse. Just because they're making out doesn't mean they killed Tanya. Eva stopped the car and peered out the windshield. Sandy and Charisse stood near the front steps now, their arms around each other. They kissed again, then broke apart. Sandy trotted down the porch steps. He turned and gave Charisse a wave, then hurried down the sidewalk toward the street. Eva watched as he climbed into his car and pulled away. He drove off in the other direction. When she glanced at the house again, the porch was empty. Charisse must have gone inside. Go ahead, Eva told herself. Just go talk to her. See what she says. She shut the car off, got out, and walked the half block to Charisse's house. As she climbed the porch steps, a gust of wind came up. The swing squeaked on its chains, and the screen door rattled noisily. Above the noise, Eva thought she heard another sound. A voice. She paused, listening. Yes, Charisse's voice. Eva raised her hands to knock on the screen door, and froze as she heard Charisse's voice again, louder this time, high-pitched and furious. I'll kill you, Charisse screamed. I'll kill you, too.